Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Lore series. Today, we are talking about Philip Ojomo, the Wraith. And his story is a tragic one. So, let's begin. There's another apparition, more terrifying than anything I've seen, hunting amongst the shadows here. It moves like a silhouette, appearing and disappearing at the sound of a dreaded bell. It's impossible to track it. Several times it has caught me without me even seeing it closing in. Often convinced I have my back covered, it has promptly materialized right behind me to strike from close range. Stay still and watch the fog. Don't move, don't blink, and for God's sake, don't breathe. If you can control your fear long enough and can show self-control, sometimes it is possible to see its shimmer as it glides forward if caught at just the right light. I pray for your safety. This is how the writings of Benedict Baker describe Philip Ojomo, otherwise known as the Wraith. His story is a sad one, as the story goes. Since he was a child, Philip had it rough. Born in a newly created Nigeria, he was a victim of propaganda, and so were the people around him. His family, one day, heard a broadcast announcing shelter and safety for everyone in hiding. Philip's father, mother, and many others went out to investigate this, but only a few returned. They brought stories of death, destruction, and horror back with them. The war on them was real, and they just experienced it firsthand. Philip looked at his grandma and said, "They hate us. Why? Why do they hate us?" "Because the radio and television tell them to," she responded. "What did I ever do to them?" Philip asked, not understanding the hatred. "You were born in newly created Nigeria. That's what you did. You were born a northerner," Grandma said. His grandmother approached him. "Did you see anything out there?" Philip shook his head. "If you see anything, if you see danger, ring your father's bell and hide with the others." Philip nods and stares at the bell. "Will they come back?" Philip asks. His grandmother hesitates for a long moment. I don't think so, Philip. They're hiding." Tears fill his eyes as his grandmother disappears into a small, thatched home. He feels a tear slips down his face. And he knows, just knows, he will never see his parents again. Many days passed, and Philip and his grandma, Unanya, had to hide from the patrols that were burning down villages and slaughtering their people. The worst bit about this whole situation is that they were the same people. They had to travel from village to a new one and hide and try to survive. The days were long, and all of the misery Philip ingested along the way has been weighing on the young boy. Then, one day, Philip failed to ring the wailing bell. He fell asleep, tired from everything they have been through, and just at that time, a patrol decided to swing by. When he made it back to the village they were currently in, it was too late. His grandma was severely injured, and the ants were starting to attack her body that was lying in the dust. He felt all the regret of the world, trying to apologize, and his granny tried to speak with him, but all she managed to let out were some rattle-like sounds, since the patrol took her tongue too. Finally, she managed to scribe, "I forgive," into the dust next to her, and Philip, while breaking inside, helped her to cross to the other side and ease her suffering. Philip, the last survivor of his village, continued wandering to the next village, and then the next one, and the next one, until he finally found something. A killing crew, maybe the very ones who killed his guardian. maybe the very ones who killed his grandmother, his parents. No hell is good enough for these demons who would take money to disappear people. They're cooking something by a fire, laughing and making jokes at the expense of those they butchered. They talk about his people as though they were animals. No, less than animals. No one takes pride or ridicules the animals they slaughter. He's never seen anything like it. Dogs without humanity. That's what they are. Dogs. Rabid dogs. Nothing less, nothing more. Something ancient tugs at him. He feels darkness, like a tendril from another world, take hold of his young, innocent heart. Not young or innocent anymore. He hears Fananya's voice. Forgive and be forgiven. But he doesn't want to forgive, and he doesn't want to be forgiven. He wants them to suffer like they made his people suffer. He wants them to suffer for taking everything from him. He hears his grandmother's voice trying to distract him from his dark thoughts of revenge with infinite maths problems. But over her voice is the raging, maddening heartbeat of his hate. Her voice screams out equations and challenges, but he glares at the man. He feels kerosene coursing through his veins, and he's ready to explode. An eye for an eye, and the whole world plunges into infinite night. Good. Philip notices the guns by the jeep. He could grab one and shoot them all, but he's never used a gun, and they'd probably run away. He could find a knife or a machete, but these dogs would overpower him. Just walk away, Philip. Never look back. It's your duty to survive and bear witness. He ignores the voices in his head and only wants one thing. He wants them to suffer and disappear. He wants to, yes, take their kerosene and make them disappear the same way they made his friends and family disappear, in a swirl of smoke. And for a moment, just a moment, he is the angel of death, swooping through infinite night. And he did it. The small boy sneaked next to the sleeping killers, grabbed their kerosene can and started pouring around them. Finally, he placed the can on the floor and toppled it over. The kerosene tendril started its way to the middle of their camp and into the fire. Soon enough, the flame started dancing and spreading. In a few seconds, the blaze was on the killers, and they started to feel the pain they afflicted onto so many. Philip was mesmerized, and the flames caught onto him too. He started running away. Finally, burned and in pain, he crashed onto the ground. The squad was eliminated. Philip managed to get a safer place afterwards and eventually immigrated to the United States. There he was searching for a job and somewhere to live. When he was offered a job from Azarov's in Autohaven scrapyard, he was more than happy. He was doing his job well, repairing cars, crushing old ones into small metal cubes. The work was fairly simple and he was eager to do it. It was not until one gloomy day that he, just by accident, saw some blood coming from one of the uncrushed cars. As he opened the trunk, he found a young man, gagged and with tied hands with panic-filled eyes. Ojomo freed the man, who managed to run 10 feet before Ojomo's boss stopped him and unalived him. As Ojomo demanded answers, he got explained to him that he'd been nothing more than a simple executioner, as more or less every car had a soul in them, as this was a service the scrapyard provided to certain clients. Philip snapped and went ballistic. He threw his boss in the crusher and let it slowly compress. As the head stuck out, Ojomo grabbed it and pulled his head and spine out of the body. Then he left and was never seen again. Today, in the trials, we can see old Azarov now being used as an executioner to hunt down survivors as the Wraith's weapon. His skull and spine are infused with the energy cursed to forever perform Wraith's bidding. Philip's eyes glow white now, because he sees the world in trials differently. He does not see the survivors we all know. Instead, he sees his foes, his boss, the mob that took his people and family away from him, and everyone else that wronged him. And he proceeds to enact punishment for all of them, for every trial, for every soul unfortunate enough to see the shimmers of a wraith and hear the wailing bell ringing their doom. Thank you so much for listening to this story, and have an amazing day. If you like the story and you want to hear more, you can always hit that like and subscribe button, share it with your friends, and I will see you in the next video, whenever that might be. See you later. Bye bye.